Yeah. So is that by some margin your best performance of the year?
To be honest, I'd have to think about it, but I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, I thought my overwhelming feeling as the siren went was that that's certainly our most complete performance. You know, I don't think we had a weakness today. Well, the boys combined really well. I thought our attack on the contest was really good. You know, and the way we wanted to play, we pretty much executed. Well, we executed it the best we've done it all year. So when you go in with a plan, that's all well and good, but there is an opposition out there that are trying to stop you doing it and executing it. And the boys held up today, and Richmond changed some things up, and we're able to adapt. And you know, we've had some pretty well documented cases this year where we haven't been able to adapt, and today we did. So that was really pleasing.
And the big thing from our end is how good you were defensively.
Yeah.
You know, that was something that really stood out. You know, North Melbourne are great going one way, they've been criticised for not being good the other way. Today you stopped them dead in their tracks when they tried to counter-attack. Yeah,
that was. It's been something that's been we've been working really hard on. So it's really pleasing to see some reward for effort there, and you know, the defenders themselves played well, but I thought our midfield gave us the opportunity to defend well. You know, I was a bit concerned going into the game losing Lindsay Thomas because he's clearly our best forward pressure player. But I thought that you know, it just goes to show you can play 350 plus games, but you know, the guy who led us in defensive pressure in our forward half today was Brent Harvey. I think he had 5 tackles, you know, and that set the tone for us. I think his chase on Matt White, who's probably one of the quickest players in the competition, you know, was outstanding. And when we're getting that from our probably over a period of 2 decades, our best player, you know, just goes to show that when the leaders are doing it, the rest pretty much follow.
Brad, I might be looking a little bit too much into this, but did you get much out of last week in the sense that maybe clogging up the defence and using that rebound, and then you talked about adaptability today. You also talked a lot about that last week as well.
Yeah, well, I think that that you always. I mean, we didn't delve too deeply into last week because it's an unusual strategy that was employed against us after quarter time, but you still take some lessons out of it. And I think you know, the way we wanted to defend today probably evolved from last week a little bit, but. You know, to be honest, I mean, over a period of 3 years, we haven't changed the way we want to defend, but we've certainly improved in our execution of it. So it was, you know, but every coach will tell you these days it takes, you know, everyone on the ground to help you defend the way you want. And you know, we're not as good as the best teams at it, but we're on our way, we think.
What about the importance of a couple of sort of role-specific players, Hine and Greenwood?
Yeah, both outstanding. Greenwood first because I just thought that that I rate Cochin so highly. I think he's a genuine superstar. He's their captain. He's the one that helps their other midfielders play well. When Cochin plays well, Grigg and Jackson and Ellis and these guys who have had really good years usually feed off him. So that was a critical matchup for us. And Taylor Hines, one of the most competitive young kids I've seen in footy, and that's what all coaches love. They love the guys that are genuine competitors, and coaches love guys that you can rely on. And Taylor's both of those.
Lee Adams, Brad Cinder plays best game of the year. He was outstanding.
Yeah.
He's had to obviously work his way in form this year.
Yeah, he has, and he's look. I think that sometimes as supporters and coaches, and you ask a lot of players, and Patch has had, I think it's 4 shoulder reconstructions now. He had 2 shoulder reconstructions within 3 weeks of each other last year. You know, really limited pre-season. So, you know, they're pretty significant operations. So he's taken time to come back from that. But I was really pleased for him today. His work rate was fantastic, and you know, I think you look at the. You know, I've heard people talk recently about midfield depth, and it is critical. You know, and this is the first game, you know, back since I think, you know, round. I don't know what it is, 8 or 9, where we've had Ben Cunnington and Jack Siebel together. Ben Cunnington, you know, we thought, you know, really added to that midfield depth today and gave us some real strength around the contest.
Do you feel like if you continue to play like this, you are capable of still making the final?
Well, I think the way I look at it, Rowan, is that we've got to play footy that's worthy of it, and we're certainly going to find out because I mean we play. Adelaide and Brisbane away from home. We play Hawthorn, Geelong. We play Collingwood. So, if we get there, we feel we're going to be going in with some pretty good form if we can beat all those sides. So, we play Essendon on the way home. So, I mean, there are going to be some huge challenges put in front of us. And if we stand up to those and win them, then I think we'll be worthy finals contenders.
There's a moment in the first quarter, Brett, I think it might have been Nathan Grimes kicked out towards the boundary. I think he seemed to see one of the umpires' shirts, the blue.
Yeah.
Did you see that as being an issue, or a clash issue today?
I think you're giving him a bit more credit for that. I thought he's lucky. Did it go out of bounds? Because I thought it was a deliberate for sure. But the boys joked in the box. They looked a bit like North Melbourne jumpers. But I think that was the only example that you could possibly look at where there was a concern. So we didn't think it was a factor throughout the game.
And just Lockie Hansen again in that role. How are you seeing him down there?
Yeah, 15 marks today and 5 contested and set up the game. I thought that when you're looking at, everyone can look at stats and who the best players were, and they generally look to the stats. And last week I think we were all a bit of a loss to see who the good players were when Champion Data Server went down. But you look at impact on the game, and for impact on the game, I don't think there were too many better players out there today than him.
Brad, how brave an effort was it for Ben Cunnington to come back today?
I think only he could answer that. What I think it demonstrates, and with our football club, is that it is it might sound like a cliche, but it is a family. We do, when someone is going through a tough period, we all feel it. And the club rallied behind Ben, and we wanted to make sure that he wouldn't play until he was ready to play. His first and foremost responsibility is to support his family, and he's done that really. He's done an exceptional job, and but he came out and we thought performed really well for us today, and there's no doubt we're a much better side with him in it.
Did he sort of put his hand up and say, "Oh, well, look, I need to step up again with Lindsay going out on the same"?
Oh, look, we've been in constant dialogue with Ben, so there wasn't any one moment that we decided. It was just we had to assess his emotional health and make sure he was right to go, because it's one thing to look at your team on paper and think it looks good, but you've got to have your players both physically and mentally right to go, and he declared himself right to go, and he was really good for us.
The defensive improvement, Brett, since the Crows game, when you seem to be pretty easy to score against, compared to today, I think it kept Richmond to 5 goals until late in the last quarter.
Yeah.
Has it been mental, or is it just adapting to the game plan?
Well, whether it's mental or not, that's a hard question to answer. But what I can answer is we didn't do the things we should have done. And I don't think that we've been easy to score against per se. I just think we've been easy to score against for periods in games. And that comes down to concentration. It comes through to execution of the way we want to play and being really organised. And that's why I was pleased today that regardless of the circumstances, of which circumstances changed regularly throughout that game, we adapted really well to it. Because in our game, you can't call a timeout when you see something you don't like. So you've got to train it and make sure your players can execute it on field.
It's one of those rare days where the coach there's actually nothing you can criticise the team about.
No.
You're all hard taskmasters. But
No, I said to the players, coaches are never entirely happy. I mean, and there are some things that we'll have a look at that we can do better.
They got close though.
Yeah, I think it was definitely our most complete performance of the year, for sure. And, I said to the players, I haven't got enough time to go through all the things that we were really happy with as a coaching group. We'll do that in our review. But it was complete, but there are always things you can work on. And we've got Richmond missed some shots. They had a lot of entries. So if they take all their opportunities, it's game on. So, I don't think Richmond were at their best today. Hopefully we played some part in that, but you've always got to judge yourself against the opposition's best, and we've still got some work to do to prove that we're as good as the best in the comp.
Andrew Petrie continues to play that selfless role, but it's really paying dividends in terms of Robbie's 4 goals and Darren's 3 goals as well.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I've said for a couple of years that you need different avenues to goal, and you can't just be a team that gets shut out one way and then you've got no alternative. So, I'm always happy to see an even spread from our key forwards in particular. And, the boys are working really well together. And we're fortunate because Majak was an emergency today. We think on form he can come into the team at any time. So, you know, we're pretty well stocked for key position players right at the moment. Daniel Curry, we could bring into the side next week if we needed to. He's in that good a form. So, you know, we're fortunate in that situation.
Goldie took a pretty heavy number, I think, in the third quarter. Obviously played out the game. Is he okay?
Yeah, he's fine. I asked him whether we needed to hold Dan Curry over because wherever he travelled to Perth for the Foxtel Cup. So, but he said no, he's fine. So maybe gave him a bit of incentive.